a lot of the conversation about tech and music has to do with disruption. And so sometimes you have some of the ecosystem, the record labels, the publishers, the rights holders, et cetera, kind of keeping technology at arm's distance. I mean, there's definitely been some technologies that have come in and devalued music and transformed the economics of music in a way that's not so positive. But I think the best innovations really come in tech. They come from things that multiply revenue. So I was thinking through, like, what are the types of companies out there that really add to this rising tide theme? And I came up with several different, let's call them revenue multipliers. It starts with just understanding the value of catalogs. So catalog value is one revenue multiplier in the sense that if you don't know what a catalog's worth, you can't figure out how to increase it, right? You don't know what price to pay for it, buying and selling. But then on top of that, you don't really have the benchmark to say, well, what's going to raise the value of this? So that's one category. Another category is revenue recovery. There's a lot, as we know, there's a lot of places in which money kind of leaks out of the music industry. It could be nefarious practices, but a lot of times it's actually missing data. Who are the rights holders for a given song? Where do the splits go? How does it happen in one territory like the United States versus another territory like, any place, Australia or, Italy or something like that? Different people own the rights to different parts of different songs based on different territories. But also there's just so much that's happened with things like collecting the right amount of revenue from streaming services, from social media platforms, etc. When music's getting used in different ways, like derivative works or interpolated works, then how do you get the royalties that are deserved back to the original rights holder there? So there's all these cool tools around for catalog valuation, but there's also really cool technology tools around for revenue recovery. How do you find where your music's being used? How do you reconcile the difference between what's supposed to be paid and what is being paid and all that kind of stuff? So there's two categories. Another one would just be like the top level revenue generator of licensing. And I put it on here as one of the revenue multipliers because I think there's so many new emerging opportunities for licensing music. We saw it happen with things like fitness, with gaming, with meditation. There's all these other opportunities where people are using music, and collecting that revenue is new in a lot of ways, right? And as new technology platforms emerge, as new use cases and social uses of music emerge, there's opportunities to increase revenue. So there's a bunch of technology and tech out there to help with that, whether it's marketplaces or like LyricFind, for example. Basically, there's revenue that's getting brought into the music industry now as a result of licensing lyrics, which wasn't even a thing in a pre-digital era, really. I add another category here of AI licensing. Technically, it's part of licensing, but I feel like given what's going on with generative AI and the use of training data to train those models, it feels like a whole new category that's going to probably change what the dynamics are for revenue. So I would add it as its own category. So anybody that's helping with attribution or even with spotting what is and isn't AI, any types of marketplaces that are helping with generative AI licensing content as well. There's a lot of opportunities there. And then actually the generative AI companies themselves would fall into this category. If they are saying, we want to do this fairly and we want to license music or voice or image and likeness, whatever it is, there's new revenue on the table there. And that's a technology opportunity as well. I've got a few more categories, Eleanor.
Keep going.
Yeah. All right. One of them is on fan growth. Like how do you get more fans for a particular artist, for a particular album, for a particular scene and genre? There's a lot of technology tools available that if your audience is just bigger, then that's super helpful. So there's a lot of marketing tools that would fall under fan growth as well. And then as a separate category, I would say fan revenue. We hear a lot about super fandom. We hear about premium tiers on streaming. But there's a lot of opportunities, I think, to figure out other ways for fans to pay. It's not necessarily they're buying something new specifically, but it might be more of an experience. It might be unlocking things that already exist within, say, streaming or fandom or social media, things like that. So I'd say fan revenue is its own category. And then as a separate category, I would add new music products. So I'm thinking of things like kit better, new form factors, but it also could be things like stem separation. Where maybe are they a fan or are they a creator? Who knows? But they're going to start messing around with
or
music
some secret third thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's some blending thing, which we're seeing a lot at music tectonics. We've seen that from the beginning, where the whole creator versus fan thing is starting to blend together. But new music products, I mean, we could brainstorm a million different new products.
I feel like each of these categories, each of these revenue multipliers, we could brainstorm a ton, and I hope we can get to that on maybe a future podcast.
Yeah, maybe a few. Maybe it's a mini series. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? I left one off that I want to mention. I saved it for last, Eleanor. It's distribution and artist and label services. And the reason I waited is because people might not see it as a revenue multiplier because it's such an entrenched role. It's such an entrenched. There's already so many distributors and artists and label service companies out there, but I feel like we can't undervalue that they were one of the original revenue multipliers of the music industry, like bringing in so many more independent artists, creating these kind of scalable, turnkey ways for independent artists to get onto the streaming services, or iTunes before that, or Amazon CD sales before that, really did grow the market as a whole. So there's more opportunity for people to be engaging with music. So I think there's, a lot of those distribution companies are doing these other things around fan growth or fan revenue or licensing or revenue recovery. Those things are part of them, but I feel like we have to have them as their own category because they're sort of like a gateway to a larger industry as well.
And whatever comes down the road next, they're going to be at the front lines of figuring it out and monetizing it.
Exactly. Yeah.